The internet is a very interesting place, especially if you look at its history. Before 2016, the United States was encouraging free speech on the internet, and there were many publications, especially in the New York Times, saying how important free speech is for democracy. And they used social media in order to try to create the Arab Spring in the Middle East, basically allowing populist movements to grow and in some cases to overthrow the governments. So that was a good thing. But something happens around 2014. You now have a massive growth in social media, especially in the West. And you notice that for the first time ever, a random trucker who just happens to be a blogger is getting a bigger audience than people working at MSNBC. Is getting a bigger audience than people that work at the New York Times. And the problem is that the corporate media, they work hand in hand with agencies from the government. Like Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks says this, that when he was working at MSNBC, he was basically not allowed to cover certain types of stories. He was not allowed to talk about certain things because the government has like these bumper cars when it comes to the news. Like there are certain things that they just don't want people to talk about. They want to distract people with other things. And social media didn't have that. So what is happening? Well, you get Brexit, right? And this terrifies the establishment. It absolutely horrifies them. And they're worried that, okay, well, you have Brexit now, but like, what about if we have like Frexit and you have like an Italian exit and a Greece exit like that? That is terrifying for the international order. Like all of a sudden, all of the establishment, all of the elites, they're in danger. And what causes even more cause for alarm is the 2016 Trump presidential winning, which basically you have all of these people that were due for promotions and they were due for signing important international treaties. And Trump comes in, those people don't get promoted, and those treaties don't get signed. So again, like all of these individuals, they're horrified. So one of the things that they started doing is to censor the internet. At first, they used Russian misinformation in order to censor it, and then they used to protect our democracy in order to censor it. Most censored events in American history have to be regarding the 2020 election and COVID. It's also due to the technology, like most people had access to social media, so most people did experience some censorship on some level. It's difficult to not know at least one person that had their account banned or their tweets removed due to the 2020 election or due to the pandemic. So those were incredibly censored. And this is where, again, like you have these bumper cars installed on social media through the guise of fact checkers, like through the guise of experts. But they're serving the same function as the mainstream media used to have, which is basically certain stories shouldn't be allowed to circulate. Other stories should be amplified. And what they are censoring is not left-leaning or right-leaning, by the way. Like they initially started with Russian disinfo, so like allegedly they're censoring foreign interference. But in reality, what they're also censoring is populism. It doesn't matter if the populism comes from the left or the populism comes from the right. They are censoring populism because they do not want the peasantry to have a say in things. Like for them, democracy is when BlackRock and Hollywood and the politicians agree on something, right? And they view that as difficult work to get like all of these institutions to agree. That is the democracy that they're trying to preserve. When you have the peasantry coming up with ideas, they look at that and they find it disgusting. They find it abhorrent. It's like, what does the peasant know? He's not part of BlackRock. Like, only BlackRock knows. BlackRock is the most intelligent thing on the face of the planet. So, this is what is being done on the internet up until, I would say, Elon Musk took over Twitter, right? So, like, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, you notice, like, this huge attack from various different entities, like NGOs, activist groups, university professors. And what they all have in common is that they're getting money from the government. Interesting how that is, right? So the government itself isn't pressuring Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media to censor. It's just that the activist groups that have connections and ties with the government, those are the ones that are censoring. And you also notice the European Union doing the same. Like right now, they passed a legislation in order to try to force Twitter to install these bumper cars that used to be in place before. Like they want a hotline with, I guess, like the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and when the Homeland Security goes like, oh, that Biden laptop story, we don't like it. That's a threat to democracy. Take it down, right? So that's basically what they want to reinstate. Now, the hilarious thing is that Twitter uses fact checkers from the public, right? So like you have the average individual now being able to do the fact checking, and this is absolutely horrifying for the establishment because they're using their rhetoric against them. It's like Twitter, oh, you don't like misinformation? Like, that's fine. We're going to allow the public to crack down on misinformation. And they hate when MSLSD News or other corporate publications, when they get fact checked. Like, they absolutely despise this. And one of the recent things that they are doing is they're trying to muddy the water, pretending that the economy is perfect, right? When obviously it's not. Like, this is one of the things you can't lie about. For instance, you can lie about employment, right? You can say that unemployment is at an all-time low. And I, as a person who don't have a job, and probably know other people who don't, can say, well, you know, this is just my personal experience. Like maybe in other places people are employed, or maybe in other fields, right? You can lie with that, but you cannot lie with the economy. Because I go to the same supermarket that everyone else goes. I notice my check at the end of the shopping spree like everyone else. You cannot gaslight when it comes to this. So I have seen like David Pakman and Short Fat Otaku and other people talk about the statistics and like try to bring the jungle with the forest and the mud and shit. It's like, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to live there. Like, I live in a more simple place. And my simple place is I go to the supermarket, I look at the price bill, I pay my gas, I pay my electricity, I look at the price bill, and I notice my life is worse than it used to be. There is no way you can lie to me. Like, tell your team of experts that made those studies to fuck off. Because those experts must be incompetent. It's the same way, like, if you go outside and it's pouring, like it's a hurricane, it's a storm, and the weatherman says no, that the weather is sunny, and they have like this meteorological consensus, and maybe they change the definition and they say that rain is now actually defined somehow else, so that when you're out there and it's raining, it's not really raining. Fuck off, I don't care. You know, you go live into the muddy jungle with everything cloudy and everything difficult to analyze. Because I don't live in that world, right? So here you have like this bullshit, which again, like when I read the article without the fact checkers, I already know that the article is wrong, right? So millennials and Gen Zers are pulling in bigger paychecks, but much of their spending power is fueled by short-term purchases like groceries and vacations, not savings. So, like, where are they pulling these bigger paychecks? When is it happening? Like, all the companies, because this is how I know that is not true, right? It's not that I actually know Gen Zers and I talk to them and I make a statistics, right? I communicate with like 10,000 Gen Zers. And no, the reason I know that's not true is that all of these companies are firing people. Like, if they're firing people, they're not increasing wages. It's not rocket science, right? Like the reality that I'm experiencing and seeing the things that are happening are different than the things that they are saying. Like, always watch the things that they do, not the things that they say. So when I see that, okay, well, PayPal is firing people, I'm like, okay, but like PayPal is a trading processor. Like, if the economy was booming and people were making this much money, surely everyone would be using PayPal. So PayPal would need to hire people, not fire them, right? But here we go. We got readers adding context and explaining that the headline is false. It uses the word paycheck, but the source cited in the article is comparing percent growth in equities and mutual funds held by people from various age groups. And these are not only held by a tiny percent, and these are only held by a tiny percent of the population and are not considered like the average paycheck. So there you fucking go, you know, like, but again, why is the media doing this? Why is the media pushing this lie? And all the comedians late at night, they're making it's like Bidenomics this, Bidenomics is great, but like, will people realize? Will people know? Like, this is the current, I guess, propaganda effort. It's like Biden is doing amazing. The economy has never been better. But will people realize? Will people allow the misinformation that goes on social media? Because unironically, this is what Dev also told me. right? He said that one of the reasons that people like myself think the economy is bad is because we are radicalized by social media. And I'm like trying to explain to him that no, I'm radicalized by the grocery bill. The grocery bill is making me into a radical. The electricity bill is making me into a radical. Like most people, believe it or not, do not understand these complex terms like equities, mutual funds, stuff that you don't even learn in school. Most people understand, okay, this is how much I'm getting from work at the end of the month. This is how much I spend on groceries. This is how much I spend on utilities. This is what's left. You know, like simple people, simple mind. This is how you need to keep it. Very simple. There's no shrubbery. There's no mud and dirt. And no. It's just like how much you get from work. How much you end up with at the end of the month. That's it. Right? And when people notice that their life was better before 2020 and it's worse now, I don't fucking care if you lecture me about the GDP and you tell me about the equities and you're like, no, I don't give a shit about that. Okay? Like statistics, oh yes, everything is fine and then you have all these amazing statistics, great. Doesn't help me buy the groceries, does it? And of course, you know, it is Bidenomics. I mean, the lockdowns is what caused this. I said this during the lockdowns, actually. Like, right during the lockdowns, I said, like, there's going to be a price for this. Like, life is going to get more expensive. This is what I said. This is what's happening. The war in Ukraine didn't help things, by the way. Sure, you know. But neither did the green policies of the European Union and the green policies of the Democrats and them printing money and all of that shit. Right? It made the economy worse, not better. So cut the crap, stop lying to people, and stop saying you have like this war on misinformation when the mainstream media is never held accountable for misinforming. And at this point, they're misinforming so obvious that even the average people can catch them with their lies. It's like, oh no, you're actually, the economy is doing swell. No, it's not. Again, it's not the fact that I'm getting paid less at work. Is the fact that I spend more for the groceries and the utilities. Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.